Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today to talk about a little game called For Honor. That's right, I went ahead and I did it. I went ahead and pulled the trigger, got myself a copy of For Honor over on the PC, and decided to really give this game the chance that I felt it deserved. And you know what? It paid off. I've now played the game for well over 5 hours. That was pretty much my entire afternoon. Did not think I was going to get sucked into it just as much as I did. I've played the alpha, I played the beta. The thing about both of those demos, both of those phases for me, was that I never really dedicated the time or the effort to understand exactly how the game's combat system worked across the different heroes that were available. Hell, I didn't even understand really how the combat system worked beyond its guard and attack system, the 3 different angles or directions that I could guard and attack from. That's as far as I got. I didn't learn really about how guard breaking worked or how I could, heavy parry, or how I could throw, or how I could do all these different combos with the different heroes. I didn't really learn the intricacies that truly make For Honor special to me now that I've fully given it a go. So, honestly, one of the best purchase decisions I've made this year. Just another pleasant surprise. Probably my first genuine pleasant surprise here in 2017. I just really didn't think that I was going to pick the game up, dive into the multiplayer, and just become absolutely obsessed. I think the best way that I can describe For Honor for you guys when it comes to the PvP portion of the game is a brawler, like a sort of RPG medieval brawler, with melee weapons and whatnot, that's then been blended into this wonderful, glorious potion alongside of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and in Tekken and all of these more intricate, really, heavily skill-based fighting experiences. That's what For Honor feels like. There's really no randomness here. When I die, it's my fault. When I suck, it's my fault, I know the failures that I'm making. I see why I'm making them, and I see the ways in which I can improve them. It's all very clear-cut and straightforward. There's no randomness here. There's no blind sword swinging. It just feels really, really, really good. And a small part of me gets vibes of like Dark Souls PvP, and I know that's a bold thing to say because there's a lot going on in like Dark Souls PvP, but I think anyone who really plays For Honor will get some of those vibes that I'm getting. But at the end of the day, it's just not something I ever expected to exist. When I first played the game in alpha and beta, I remember saying to myself again and again, oh, every time they do one of these things, it just ends up feeling so random. It ends up being this mashing trigger fest, and it's all boring and dull, and after a month, no one wants to play it because there's really no skill ceiling or skill floor. I could not have been more wrong. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the game's PvP. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the combat system and the layers behind it that I think make it so satisfying, but I did want to bring you guys some proper first impressions. So we're going to talk a little bit about the game's single player offering. Really just what can you expect if you decide to pick up For Honor, maybe if you see it on sale in the next couple weeks. I know Green Men Gaming already has it for $47.99. That's actually where I grabbed it over on PC. So if you're looking to grab a PC copy, you can actually get it and save some money along the way. So the game actually has a full-fledged single-player story-driven campaign. When I say story-driven, I mean vaguely story-driven. I should say that single-player campaign isn't actually just single-player. You can actually play cooperatively with some friends. It has 4 difficulties: easy, normal, hard, and then realistic, which removes the HUD entirely, which means that you have to instinctively know the animation set for the enemies so you can block and parry them, so on and so forth. It's not easy. You can actually turn that off at any point when playing this game, even in multiplayer, like I've accidentally done, which makes it very, very hard to kill other players unless you are like God tier. Nonetheless, though, the campaign, at least what I've played of it so far, isn't actually that difficult. It's actually broken up into 3 chapters. You have the Knights to start, then you move on to the Vikings, and then the Samurai, and it's in that order. You can't just jump back and forth and play whatever one you feel to please. The best way to look at the campaign in terms of its presentation and its story is this. It's like a little kid went into his toy box, he picked out 3 of his favorite action figures. They happen to be a knight, a samurai, and a Viking. He then gives those toys to the adult, and he asks the adult to make up the rule set and the details for the game that they're about to play. That is really the best possible metaphor I can come up with. Trust me, it took me some time to come up with that one. That's pretty much For Honor's campaign. There's no real rhyme or reason. You don't know why these 3 factions live on the same island, let alone the same continent. You don't know why they exist in the same exact place, why they're warring with each other. The story is probably going to tell us a little bit about that. Having not played all of it, I don't really know. But you're not supposed to care. You're not supposed to care about the historical inaccuracy of the whole situation. You're just supposed to look and say, damn, that knight looks baller as F in that armor, and I just killed the samurai and chopped his head clean off. That felt good. That's it. You know, if you can tap into your 5-year-old self, you're not going to care about the inaccuracy of it all. You're not going to care about the randomness of it all. You're just going to have a good time, possibly with friends, if you group up with some people, killing some dudes in a really, you know, just solid melee brawler experience. You know, and if you play it on realistic, you'll have a hefty challenge trying to learn all of those different animations. That's pretty much it, though. There's not much else there, guys. You're not really going to have the same difficulty or that same skill-based challenge that you have in PvP, well, because you're not going up against other players. That's as simple as it is. It's as clear-cut as I can make it. So let's actually move forward. Let's talk about the multiplayer offering. Now, I'm probably going to spend most of my time playing the 1v1 stuff. I really like just the straightforward duels. If I end up playing with some other people, possibly some other YouTubers, I'll probably get into the 2v2 stuff, maybe even deathmatch and the Dominion mode. But honestly, once you get past 2v2, once you get past, you know, like an environment where you now have to deal with more than 1v2 engagements, the game kind of starts to come apart at the seams. You can tell that For Honor's combat system was really designed around 1v1, and then they said, well, if another guy comes in and attacks you, we'll put a system in place so you can at least defend yourself, and you could probably manage to engage in a 1v1 combat situation, but that's unlikely, especially when dealing with proper player versus player stuff. So when you play Deathmatch, which is like 4v4 or whatever, or when you play Dominion, which is 4v4 with AI and capture points, that is where the flaws start to shine through. You know, when you have like 3 dudes ganging up on you, it's no longer fun. You're no longer trying to master your combos and get your, you know, your guard breaks and your shield breaks and get your heavy parries in. You're just trying to survive, and the game isn't really fun in that environment. So Dominion isn't really going to be for everyone, and neither is Deathmatch. I think most of the hardcore community that will exist probably, you know, 1 month or 2 months after the game is launched, will be playing duels in 1v1 stuff. Maybe Dominion will find a following, and maybe at some point there will be some element of actual honor in that game mode, and people won't just crowd up and beat you to death like it's a street fight. Just maybe that will happen, but right now that is simply not the case here at launch. So let's talk more about that combat system. You know, I mentioned Street Fighter now, I've mentioned Dark Souls PvP, so a lot of you guys who haven't really played the game are like, Tony, what are you talking about? You gotta clarify this for us. So let's break down how the combat system works. Essentially, it's core layers. At the forefront is the attack and guard system. So you have 3 directions. You move the stick in one of those 3 directions to either attack from the top, the left side, or the right side, or to guard from the top, the left side, or the right side. It's really just a game of matching it up. If that person doesn't attack you from the right side, well, then you need to go ahead and block them from the right side, so on and so forth. There are a couple other layers, though. We have the ability to guard or shield break someone. So if someone is in a guard stance, you can actually go up there, you can break their guard, and then you can initiate like a light attack. You can go into a combo, start to throw in some flurries, and do some damage. Now you can actually cancel out a player's guard break. So if someone tries to break your guard, you can then cancel them trying to break your guard. It's sort of like a combo breaker inside of Killer Instinct, if you're familiar with that. It's all about timing and precision. You can't just mash it to get it right. You have to know exactly when you can try and then reverse break their guard break. So there's always like an extra layer. Basically, I can always do something to break your guard, but you can also always do something to defend yourself. The same can be said for heavy attacks. So say the enemy decides to throw a heavy attack, I can actually go ahead and heavy parry that if my timing is right. I can then lead that into a combo, but you could also then dodge or break away from that. There's pretty much always an answer to what's going to happen next. So when you have 2 players who are really, really good, it's this sort of never-ending battle, this constant duel to expose that player's weakness, whether it's by shutting down their stamina and opening them up to an attack, or just waiting for them to make a mistake, waiting for them to whiff on their next guard break, you know, waiting for them to whiff on their next heavy attack so you can go in for the kill and then break into your combo. So those are the basic layers of combat, and they are very satisfying in their own right. Getting each and every one of them down feels good, and once you understand them and you take them online and you realize that you're playing against people who have yet to actually learn those things, you see just how big the skill gap can grow and how easy it is for someone at the bottom who only knows the main portion of the combat to get shut down by someone who understands guard breaks and cancels and you know, the ability to feign a heavy attack, for example. and then the ability, of course, to actually go ahead and perform heavy parries. Once you learn all of that, right, and you get the timing down for that, and you feel like a boss, you then have an entire moveset to learn for each hero. There are 4 heroes in total for each of the 3 factions. So you understand all of those heroes and all of their movesets, then you're good to go. And that's obviously going to take you a very, very long time. Now, I opted to give the Lawbringer a go. The Lawbringer is the sort of tank slash, counter-attacker of the Knights, I should say. He's considered one of the harder hero classes in the game to play. My very first match with him was a match of Dominion in which I got absolutely slaughtered. I went and took just 10 minutes to better understand how this class functioned, to better understand the game's core combat systems, and I was online in some proper 1v1s, truly kicking ass and feeling like I was actually putting up a good fight. That was where my immediate addiction for Honor kicked in. And I'm going to be talking about this game from here on out. It may not always be here on the channel, guys, but I'm going to be telling other people about it because this game was indeed my first pleasant surprise of 2017. If you like brawlers, if you're into games that have a bit of a steeper learning curve, like Killer Instinct and Street Fighter, I wouldn't say this is quite as hard as either of those games, but it's definitely up there with some of its intricacies. And if you like medieval setting, you like Vikings and samurais and knights, you will really like what For Honor has to offer. If you can grab it on sale, it's worth it in my opinion just for the co-op elements. All of the multiplayer stuff can be played co-op against AI, so if you're someone who just likes a good, solid, meaty feeling brawler, well, For Honor is that game. It sounds great, it looks great. I say the animations are absolutely fantastic. It get a bit clunky here and there, again, when dealing with multiple targets, but more often than not, the game just feels good, looks good, and sounds good, and I cannot wait to play more of it. I'm actually going to be doing some For Honor content. I'm going to be throwing some stuff in throughout the next several weeks. I'm going to be doing some tutorials and guides as I slowly work my way through the Lawbringer as well as the other hero classes. There's definitely stuff here to teach people. And this is the type of game that I would love, much like Titanfall 2, to see more people get involved in. So if I can help people who just picked up the game better understand the different classes that I may be playing so they can be more successful online in PvP or even in, PvE, well then that would be a really great feeling. I love doing stuff like that, so keep an eye out, guys. Just maybe, 3 months down the line, we'll be sitting here playing Titanfall 2, some For Honor, and some VR content, and we'll have this beautiful, beautiful Holy Trinity right here on this channel. If you guys have any thoughts on For Honor, if you played it, like to share some of your own opinions, your own experiences with the game, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. If it turns out that this game gets a nice little following here on the channel, I'm definitely going to keep up the content, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll start doing some stuff on stream. We'll start getting some people together for duels, so on and so forth during those streams. It'll be just like I do with Titanfall 2. That would be killer and fantastic. I'm going to let you guys get going, though. Once again, feel free to leave any of your thoughts down in the comment section below. I still am working on that new closer, so I'll see you in the next one.